Welcome back to Retro Wednesday. This is Mike. Today I'm going to talk to you about toy grails. What are your toy grails? What are you currently looking for that you're having trouble tracking down or prices astronomical? Today I'm going to talk to you about some of the grails I've obtained and some of the grails that I don't have and whether or not I'm even going to go after them. And we'll kind of discuss this. I'm really curious though what toy line and what is the grail in that toy line that you guys are looking for. But we're going to get into talking about everything on this table and a little bit more coming up. So the first grail that I actually picked up that I kind of got my hands on, and I'm really excited that I've gotten this. It's been a year or so now, but the thing about this is that this is the bullwhip from the Spiral Zone toy line from Tonka from 1987, I believe, 86, something like that. But the thing about this is it's not complete. It doesn't have this little thing up here. But overall, though, it's a really cool vehicle. And I'm not going to do a review on all this stuff. I'm just kind of showing that this is kind of the stuff that's hard to get. Well, getting parts for something that's rare is even harder. So, I mean, some people would be like, well, it's not complete. So I would have just passed and done without for, 27 more years till another one pops up. Or waited till one pops up that's $500, $600, $700. So I'd rather get one that's affordable and then maybe get the part. If not, oh well. But it's still pretty cool to have one of these overall. It also was supposed to be a Joxa release for Rambo, which actually got my attention to the Spiral Zone toy line and a couple of my friends talking about it. So transitioning from that, which should have been a Rambo vehicle because it was supposed to be, it was pegged to be, now we're getting into some Rambo stuff. This is Joxa Rambo that was released in either Argentina or Brazil, so somewhere in South America. But these are really hard to get a hold of. But a standard X-ray is hard to get a hold of. I've already done a video about it, but getting one that is actually from the Desert Brigade, or they call it the Brigade, is even harder. But Whip Action Warhawk, same thing. This is just a repaint of the US version of a Whip Action Warhawk. So as you can see, I'm using US stuff. This is supposed to have like silver paint on the wings and stuff. So the parts are a little bit different. But the really cool thing that I think is cool is this is called the Storm Bomber, and it's one of those things that it looks silly and it's not something you'd be after if you just started collecting Rambo, but after a while you realize it exists, and this button spins that, and then you push this in to drop the bombs, and the bombs do drop. So it's really cool, these kinds of things that pop up now and then, and being able to kind of get these grails. Yeah, this is a Rambo grail for sure. So the next grail pieces that I would call these grails for Thundercats of the LJN line. And these are the rampagers, and I'm going to be getting into an entire video talking about Thundercats when I get enough stuff together. But see, we get into talking about what constitutes a grail and what condition and all that kind of stuff. To get it and have fake wings, like I made my own wings, and I've done a video how I make wings for sectars. I did the exact same thing here. Actually, I just used the leftover material that I had created. And although it doesn't look anything as good as an original, it still looks better than being bare. Now, I have ideas, because this is more or less a blueprint, or I tried it out, and I have other material I'm going to use. But they all have a little bit of action to it, and like Driller here spins and stuff. I don't want to overdo that, because I could definitely mess that thing up. But these two are really cool. And there's other things like Tongosaurus that's a super holy grail. Tongosaurus, I am not going after that. The last one sold for over $2,000. I'm not about that lifestyle. But anyway, this is kind of fun right here. I mean, these were each about $300, which is ridiculously expensive and crazy amount of money for an LJN figure. But they're really, really hard to get. So next up, I want to talk about these guys. This is from Visionaries. And what really constitutes a grail? Is it that it's rare or hard to find? Is it an error in production that makes it a variant? So this makes it rare. I actually think this guy is more rare. The purple-chested Arzon is more rare than this guy, but he doesn't sell for much when he pops up. He's not like a crazy battle, but this guy does sell for a lot because he's part of the 12. Just to have the basic 12 figures, you need him. But the problem is he was sold with the most expensive vehicle, and it wasn't produced in high quantities, and the only way to get him, and Hasbro does it. Hasbro makes drivers that you can't get any other way, and of course you can't complete your display without them. I can't believe how expensive they were. I paid like $120 for this guy, and I thought I was out of my mind, and now I see him selling for close to $300, and I just can't believe that. I mean, it just blows my mind. But as for Visionaries, the other thing you could say is his vehicle, the Dagger Assault, is also a holy grail, and that'd be something that, if you're collecting it, that's how I started. I said, hey, I knew that was the hardest thing to get, so the first thing I got, or I wasn't even going to get into it, and I was like, well, it's all downhill from here. Well, it was sideways, I guess you could say. So next grail I want to talk about is Kid or M.A.S.K, and this is the Laser Command, and I got one in a lot well over a decade ago, and I thought, what a piece of junk. And I was missing parts and stuff, and I didn't know what it did. When I found out what it did, I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. Excuse the dark lighting, but yeah, this thing is really cool. Shoots the wheels off, and that one didn't go flying. I guess this one has a weaker spring in it. Springs are inside of it. But still, really cool. I didn't know what it did for almost a decade. When I found out what it did, I was like, oh my gosh, I got to get the last parts, get it finished, and get it up and running. And yeah, it's awesome. Okay, I got my lighting set up back on. The bright lights trigger this thing to just go. It activates the sensor and all that kind of stuff, and it starts shooting and going off. But I think you could argue that with Kid or M.A.S.K, Holy Grail is pretty much almost everything. Once you get the basic Series 1 and what you want from Series 2 and maybe part of Series 3, but it's that whole split seconds, because those are just really, really hard to get, and this guy. So plus European color variants and those kinds of things. So when it comes to Captain Power, there are a lot of Holy Grails in there. Pretty much everything that wasn't released in the US. I think the Skybike launcher is the one that people go after the most. There's also the Patroller and all those kinds of things. There's the Magna Cycle, which is kind of cool in its own right. And I think this is called the ATL. I forgot to look up what this is called. But more specifically, the Grail for this, the Grail piece, is the Skybike launcher. Or the Patroller, which I don't have a loose one. This Skybike launcher is really cool because you get these Skybikes with it all. It's made on my top list of pickups for 2021, and I was so happy to finally track one down. I know in 2020 I got outbid on one, and then I never saw one again until I got this one. So pretty excited. I actually had to get some help from a buddy to get it completed and all that kind of stuff, but still really exciting that these kinds of things are really cool. And you know, some of these things that are Grail pieces would have made great toys, but timing, like, it's really cool toy, but timing kills it. Timing kills some of these toys, and there wasn't interest in it, so it got a very low production and shipped owed to the euro. It's funny because there's all these European color variants and all these European vehicle variants and all this kind of stuff that we're trying to track down and import. But still, once you get it, it's a lot of fun and it looks fantastic. So when it comes to Centurions, these are the 3 Grails, and I've done videos on these also. But the thing about this is that these are kind of hard to get, but they're not impossible to get. And I had to call in favors from friends to get these too. I mean, this was something that, it just popped up for $100 on eBay and I bought it. Those deals are long gone. And even, years ago when I was going after these, I didn't find those deals. It took a while, and it took some help from friends to get these. But I do want to say the Traumatizer right here, this is Jake Rockwell's Swing Shot, and this is Max's C-Bat. So when it comes to the Max's C-Bat, I acquired the main pieces for $50 shipped, and I thought that was cool. And that was during a time so long ago that eBay wasn't even charging tax. So I thought it was pretty cool, but getting the hoses and all these other little parts and pieces added up over time. I would say probably have $20 in each one of these little parts that I had to buy, 20 to 30 to get it complete. So I have a couple other ones, and they're not completely complete either, but it does take some time to get it. Now, buying it complete is stupid money, but piecing it together is how I did this, and the other ones I've got. Now, Swing Shot, and I'll kind of swing up here. You can kind of see the tips of his guns there. There's a couple different configurations you could set him up, but for the most part, getting his treads turns out to be the hardest part. And I passed on a set of treads for $100, and I thought, that's way too much. When I was piecing mine together, should have bought it. I was really stupid to have passed it. Original unbroken treads, that was insane. But I did pay $330 shipped for this unit. Maybe it was $350 shipped, 20 shipping. I paid 20 shipping, insured and all that kind of stuff. But the thing is that a buddy of mine saw one in a shop, and he was like, should I grab it? Then he had his brother mail it, send it to me. So it was actually really awesome, really great dude, helping me out and helping me get this kind of stuff. And so I wouldn't have a completely complete one without it. My others are pretty close to complete. They don't have the treads, and I think I'm missing one piece here and there or something. But overall, I make it look complete on the shelf. And that kind of stuff, Holy Grails, well, they're very, very rare. And they made very few at the very end of the Centurions line. So rare that when I started collecting Centurions, I didn't even know they existed. And I didn't go after them when I started. I should have started going after these before I even bought anything else, which was kind of stupid of me. And now that I think back on it, that's how I learned for future toy lines. Okay, so I wanted to talk about Star Wars, like Grails in Star Wars. I really don't know what people today consider Star Wars Grails, and I just stopped collecting vintage Star Wars because I got everything I want. I don't have everything they made from the Kidder Run, but I don't need everything they made from the Kidder Run. When it comes to smaller toy lines I've talked about now, where there's really only 12 figures or 20 figures, a couple of playsets, a couple of vehicles, a couple of weapon systems, that's easy checklist. But when you talk about 100 and something figures with variations, and then 60, 70 vehicles and 35 playsets, Star Wars is tough. So is G.I. Joe. So when you think about G.I. Joe, I think about kind of Grails. A lot of the Grails for G.I. Joe collectors are recolors, like this one here, which was the Crimson Guard attack tank, is I guess what they called it, but is a okay, I might be wrong. Mobat, is it the Mobat, the green one that was redone for it? But anyhow, this is one that I found on my buddy's collection that was that I bought a couple of years back, my buddy Philip, and it was one of the rarest things in there, but I was really happy to have it, just to have something different on the shelf that I never even knew existed. And so that was pretty exciting overall, and so I still keep it. I'm proud of it. And so I would call this, out of everything that I own G.I. Joe, my holy grail. So my next grail is the Blackstar Ice Castle, and I've got to say that in 2020 I reviewed, I think, 15 playsets, and I would keep reviewing more and more playsets if I could, if I had them. If I had more playsets. The problem is that it's just hard to track some of these down, and as you get to different toy lines, it starts getting harder and harder and harder, and it's getting more, they're more rare and more expensive, and some of the stuff is just, to me, not worth spending the money. I could see spending $300, maybe $400-$500 on a playset, but then some of these start getting into the 2000 range, and to me, it's just not worth getting them. But this is a really cool playset. I like this. Retro Blasting did a really good video about it, and just ever since I first saw this, I thought, man, this is a really cool looking playset, and it's slimline, so you can kind of fit it in a nice tight corner space that I have for this. So I'm going to set up a nice display with it. It's going to work pretty well with what I have going on in that area. So this isn't just happenstance. This is a plan I've had. So with this toy line, I'm gonna do a big old video, but I'm still missing a lot of parts and pieces and stuff, and there's a lot to it. But I do want to say, some people consider Grails as in the variant, so this is the regular figure of the Power Lord. Is it Power Lord? Oh, anyway, I'll freshen up on all that. And then this is the one with the Sparker in it. So there's multiple different variants. Same thing with, I think this guy's got the Sparker variant, and I think this guy has a Sparker variant. So all that kind of stuff. So I'm working on tracking all that kind of stuff down, picking up on it. But what I think most people consider a Grail, and there's a lot of Grails in this, is her, Grossimir with the big ears and all that kind of stuff. But Myra is really hard to get complete, and this was one of those that, hey, I picked her up right away when I started collecting this, and it took me like a year and a half to find the accessories. I mean, I'm not talking, it took me a year and a half of passing on the accessories for like $200 or $300 for the accessories, passing on the accessories because they just didn't exist. So finally I found a set of accessories, and I was pretty excited, and I'm really careful with them because they break really easy, especially this handpiece will break real easy. So with that said, there are a lot of Holy Grails out there, and I'm curious what yours is. Next, I'm going to run through some Grails that I don't have, and some of the Grails would be, first off, Thundercats, the Cat Slayer. A lot of people look at that as a Grail, and I can see why. That piece right there is actually quite interesting because it's expensive to get. To me, it's not a very good playset. But electronics almost never work. But people are willing to pay about $1,200 for that thing. Now I'm starting to see the thing sell for around $500 now, mostly complete. Now completely complete might command a little higher. So that's a good thing about 2022 into 2023. Some of these Holy Grails are getting a lot more affordable for those of us that have been collecting for a while. So the price is coming back down on some of the Grails is a good thing. But then again, there are some that are just so rare, because I don't think that this Thundercat Castle is very rare. But I would rather not spend $1,200 on this, or even $500, and buy a Super 7 one. So that's my plan going forward for my Thundercats Cat Slayer. Next one for Clash of the Titans is the Kraken? Cat Slayer, Kraken. It's the Kraken. Enter the Kraken. So, release the Kraken? The Kraken is just huge and cumbersome. I don't think they made that many, and a lot of people look at it as a massive holy grail. But I've been seeing them popping up more and more and more frequently, and I plan to pick one up. But again, I've talked about this in past videos. The reason I'm not going to go crazy with a price and spend a lot of money because I don't have a place to display it, and I don't really plan to display it. It's kind of a really small super subline, and I'm not going to allocate that much space to it, but it would be cool to have. And it is one of those grail pieces, and most people view that as the grail of this toy line. With McFarlane making these Superpowers figures and remaking Superpowers figures, the Superpowers one that I would call my grail is Cyborg. See, I never got the Cyborg, and I'm not even going after all of the vehicles and all that kind of stuff. I was just looking for the figures and the one playset. So with all this, I would like to get my hands on a Cyborg, but with the prices the way they are now, I'd just rather be happy with subbing in a really good retro-looking Cyborg that McFarlane makes. I'd be okay with that 100%, 1000%, and not $700 or $800 for a Cyborg. And the Grail in Silverhawks is this, it's the ultrasonic, ultrasonic version of the Quicksilver. And that thing is pretty cool. It's pretty cool. It's probably not, in my opinion, as cool as the rest of them because they stopped making the full bag metallized body and they had the limbs as plastic so that you didn't have all the wear on them, so they would hold up for a much longer period of time, plus all that good stuff. So the wings are different, all that, and they have a launching mechanism on it. But it's really cool. It's one of those things that I may never get my hands on, and I've accepted that because I'm not spending $400 or $500 on it. On any Centurions figure. I thought spending $100 was the max, and I'm a little more than that on a couple of them, but at the end of the day, I just don't feel like they're worth it. I think the prices might come down. Who knows? Who knows? So I hope you enjoyed this look at Holy Grails from the Titanium hanger for vintage toys. Now, there's some things that are easier to get than others. Some are harder to get than others, and sometimes you just kind of luck into them. But anyway, I want to know in the comments below, what are you looking for as a Holy Grail? What did you find in the past that was your Grail that you finally tracked down? And how'd that go? Like, subscribe. Titanium Hanger out.